Drawing Breath is a series of interviews with humans telling interesting stories. If you would like to support this channel, please interact with the social media platform that you're using. And now, Michael Lagocki tells us a story about having Will Eisner review his portfolio when Michael was about 19.
I became a big fan early because, I followed a lot of people who talked about Will Eisner as, one of the greats. I didn't live in the era where his like spirit stuff or whatever was super popular, or, coming out regularly. But I had seen the stuff in the comic shop and I kind of understood that he was regarded as not only one of the first American true graphic novelists, but also one of the first people who really decided to teach comics and pushed the idea that comics were a very serious art form as worthy as any other art form. Which, when he started saying it, there certainly weren't a lot of people saying that kind of stuff. So I read his books and I became a fan of things like Contract with God or comics and sequential art. I believe Will coined the term sequential art. So I don't know. I just became a big fan and always wanted to meet him. And anyway, I took some of my work to San Diego with me one year when I was able to go, and I got to meet Mr. Eisner, and he was super cool. I had to wait in line to meet him. He was looking at, that was back when you could just ask people to look at your portfolio, and you had a better chance of getting it done. I'm sure there's still some people who do it today, but there's probably a lot who don't too. And So Mr. Eisner, very respectful. That's probably about 19 at this time, I guess, maybe something like that. And I asked him if he would take a look at my portfolio, and he said yes. And it was really cool because there was a couple people in line behind me, and he just looked at it and didn't say much, and he looked at something else and didn't say much, and flipped the page and looked, and he only looked for like, maybe 90 seconds or something like that. And he said, "Well, there's a bunch of people behind you." And I immediately said, "Well, thank you, Mr. Eisner, blah, 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 blah." And he continued and he goes, "No, so what I want you to do is wait back there for me around the corner. And when I'm done signing these last books, we'll sit down and do a real portfolio review." So I was blown away by that, obviously. And I wish I was probably so excited at the time that I don't have like a full memory of everything. I mean, he went out of his way to like be kind to me and talk. But the thing that I took with me that I remembered the most, I think, and that had the biggest impact on me and the way that I draw is that he really pointed out that many of the simplest drawings in my portfolio were the best drawings in my portfolio. He was like, "This stuff that you're kind of like, I can tell you're doing it faster and it's not anywhere near as detailed as the superhero stuff over here, but this cartoony stuff you're doing has more life to it than those drawings." So he showed me like where life was in drawings. And I later went on to read more of his teaching work, and that was one of the things that he pushed in the teaching work too, that you know the sketching the human cartooning the human form is like the foundation of all art, as the way he saw it, foundation of all drawing. So I was very fortunate. I got to attend the Eisners that night and see Will on stage, and a lot of famous artists on stage and everything like that. And they were all honoring Will, and it was great. For a little while there, I owned a Eisner piece of art. It was a prelim from one of the books he did on death and taxes. He did all these crazy nonfiction books. This is another thing I loved about him, was that he really experimented with the art form. Comics could be anything. So he didn't, in fact, after The Spirit, I don't know that he ever did anything like a superhero again after that. But after that vigilante story, but he certainly did a lot of things about life and drama. Drama became his main um, genre after a while. And I was just very lucky to meet him and very lucky to get a cool moment with him.
Didn't you have a piece by him that was something he did for the army?
Well, the piece that I had was to his book Death and Taxes. It was a prelim page to his book about death and taxes, and it was just clearly a page that he had worked on, but then threw away and didn't keep. The best thing was he was really kind to me as a young person, very, very encouraging. Took the time to spend real time with me and help me see that there was life in very simple drawings that mattered.
What drawing was it that he looked at?
That was the high school horror stuff.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that he liked the best.
Okay, so how long so, like, Paul Smith looked at that.
And Paul Smith liked that stuff too. I like that stuff too. I mean, I look at especially the second story, the one you said Johnny read. That one I really like.
It's really good. So, how long apart were those Eisner and Paul Smith, do you think?
They would have been meetings. They might have even been the same San Diego con for all I know.
Really?
Yeah.
That was worth the ticket price. I bet it was, like, affordable back then too. What's your favorite desert island I can only take one Will Eisner book?
I mean, Contract with God has so much meaning, but I also really love there's a collection called New York City, or it's either New York or New York City, and it's just his drawings from New York. I mean, it's one of the big things about him is that he grew up in Depression era New York, in the Jewish ghettos of New York, and he he just you can tell the guy just loves drawing things like lampposts and stairs and street signs, and he documented that, and I think that's important documentation because it's a documentation of the way that stuff felt, not just the way it looked.
Mm.
And he really documented the New York tenement in a way that nobody else probably has. So if you have any interest in that era, or anybody has any interest in that era, like, I think historians should really look at his work, whether they appreciate comics or not, if they're serious about that era, because he captured it in a way that only someone who had been there and has drawing skills can do. Well, and like a cartoonist who's in love with a fire hydrant and the specific way they were built at that time, right?
Yeah,
And he's like, no one else is going to do this but me. No one else is going to document these things that have this importance
yeah.
but me. I saw him speak at that con too, and one of the things he talked about, I think he was 82 at the time or something, and he was like, "So I think I probably got 2 graphic novels left in me, so it's really, really important what I choose."
I wonder how true that was.
I think it was pretty close. So, I'm pleased to have met him, and I think his stuff is worth checking out for everybody who is enthusiastic about the form or enthusiastic about tenement era and depression era New York. I just feel like Eisner cared about things like the way the lamppost curved and the specific look of how a curb looked and the grate, and just had a sense about it that you can see in his drawings. There's a love affair with the way things really looked and felt.
Drawing Breath is a series of interviews with humans telling interesting stories. If you would like to support this channel, please interact with the social media platform that you're using.